T Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I wanted to talk about some things that I think Daniel Jones definitely needs to improve on over these last 5 games and in his second season. Now, before I get started, I don't want people to think this is a negative video. I mean, Daniel Jones, for God's sakes, is on pace to come close to breaking the rookie touchdown record that was set by Baker Mayfield last year. He trails it by 10 with 5 games to play, so he certainly could break it in just 14 starts, something that Baker did in 13 starts last year. So he's off to a good start overall during his rookie campaign. 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, I'm not a stat guy. I always say stats only tell half the story. There are a lot of games throughout the year, and the stats are going to back it up in this article, that Daniel Jones should have thrown a lot more picks than he has, and he has certainly struggled against the cover 2 zone, and he has fumbled the ball way too much. We all know he needs to improve on that pocket presence. Now, on a glass half full approach, you go back, you look at Lamar Jackson last year, he had the same exact problem with the fumbling issues, and now he's on pace to win the MVP award. Now, by no means am I expecting Daniel Jones to win an MVP in year 2, but I am expecting him to improve. Now, a big reason that he has struggled against the cover 2 is a lack of a running game. Plain and simple. Yes, rookie quarterbacks are going to struggle against defenses that they've never seen before at the rate that they have. You're going to see much more complex defenses in the NFL. It's part of the reason why I was in favor of having Daniel Jones sit and learn under Eli for 5, 6, 7 weeks, because I did not think he was fully prepared. That being said, they threw him into the fire, and he's learning as he goes. But with that, you have to expect him to struggle against things like this. So by no means am I coming down on Daniel Jones. This video is more about what I think needs to happen for him to improve. And of course, I always say it, the first thing is the running game. And when you look at the numbers that were brought up in this article, it is evident. When you play a cover 2, it's more guarding against the pass. Having Saquon Barkley, I think the New York Giants went into the season thinking that defenses would not be able to just sit back and guard the pass, being that Barkley's our best weapon. Unfortunately, Barkley, after going down with that injury over the first 2.5 games, looked great. But then he had the injury, and he has not looked the same since. Now, some could say it has to do with the offensive line, and some could say it has to do with the fact that he got banged up. I think that also has a lot to do with the struggle with our offensive line, because we become a much more predictable offense when Saquon Barkley can't get things going on the ground. So defenses have played a lot less cover 1 this year than they did the previous year when Saquon Barkley was going up, and that safety has to cheat to guard against the run. When you can't run the football, they play more cover 2, and they've given Daniel Jones harder looks and harder reads when he goes back there to throw the football. But let's jump into the numbers of just how much Daniel Jones has struggled this year against the cover 2, and what I think needs to happen for him to improve next season. So there's Daniel Jones, and here's the first quote in the article. Well, it might be tempting to dismiss the mistakes of a rookie quarterback as growing pains. The interception wasn't an isolated case of a young quarterback making a questionable decision. This was talking about the interception he threw against the Arizona Cardinals. This article came out yesterday, though. It turns out the zone coverage has been a problem for Jones since he took over the Giants' starting job in Week 3. 6 of Jones' 8 interceptions on the year have come against the zone, and he's averaging just 5.6 yards per pass attempt against the coverage, worst in the league. Jones has a completed passes of 1.7% points under what we would expect from a league average quarterback against zone. According to NFL Next Gen Stats, and his QBR is an anemic 27.5 against the zone. More surprising, given generational talent Saquon Barkley at running back, is Jones's QBR of 24.9 on play-action passes against the zone, which places him 30th out of the 32 qualifying quarterbacks. The other thing I wanted to point out, I believe of his 17 touchdowns I read at some point in this article, only 1 has come against the cover 2. And then here is the second quote I wanted to bring up. Jones's poor performance on play action is a little strange because we might expect that teams would play more cover 1, a form of man coverage with a single high safety, against the Giants with Barkley in the backfield, a defensive formation that allows them to bring a safety down from deep coverage to help out against the run. Through Week 12, however, that hasn't been the case. The New York opponents are playing 50.4% man coverage and 49.1% zone, which is almost exactly the league average. The team would likely benefit from opponents playing more man coverage to match up against Barkley, as Jones is completing passes 1 percentage points over expected against man, with a more respectable QBR of 71.5. So there you have it. I mean, that's alarming stuff. He's basically 2% higher in completion percentage than the league average when he's going against the cover 1, and he's 2% lower than the league average when he's going against the cover 2. And of course, 6 of his 8 interceptions, hasn't thrown many touchdowns, and like I said, a lot more interceptions should have come against the cover 2. A lot of teams have dropped balls, so he's certainly struggled against that look. And the main problem is clearly the fact that they can't get the running game going. Having a rookie quarterback be predictable back there is a team's worst kryptonite. So until Saquon Barkley gets going and he does what we drafted him to do, Daniel Jones will struggle. And he's going to struggle against that zone. The Giants have to become much less predictable, and teams will have to cheat up to stop Saquon Barkley. Once Barkley is back to himself, and, maybe it'll happen in the last 5 games, maybe it will not happen until next year, I think it will make Daniel Jones' job that much easier, and he will be able to progress as a quarterback. I think a lot of his cover 2 struggles have to do with the fact that the teams know that he's going to have to pass, and they blitz. They send the house, and Jones doesn't have a lot of time to think, and they know what's coming. And when a defense knows what is coming, it is a quarterback's worst enemy. It's what the problem we saw with Eli Manning his entire, the last 6-7 years when they couldn't run the football or pass protect. The only difference was Eli Manning was experienced enough to read pre-snap coverages, right? He knew the blitzes were coming, which is something you expect a rookie quarterback to struggle with. The other thing Eli Manning did that everybody criticized him for, and now I think you're starting to see why he did it more often than not, was he threw a lot of checkdowns because he knew the blitz was coming. He knew the defense knew they were throwing the football, and he knew if he took shots down the field, he was going to turn the ball over. So that's something I think Daniel Jones needs to get better at. I think when he sees the blitz coming, which maybe he doesn't see it as coming as much as he should be at this point in his career, but hopefully year 2 he gets better with another year to prepare. They say quarterbacks pick up a lot in their second year. He has to take what the defense gives him. I think there are a lot of times in the game where he doesn't do that, which is why Saquon Barkley has been used so sparingly in the passing game. I think Jones tries to take too many shots, if that makes sense. I like to see him take shots, but sometimes you have to take what the defense gives you, especially when they're in a formation like that. The cover 2 is and that is what he has struggled so much against. But for him to really get going next year, they have got to establish a run game, and they've got to improve that offensive line. And it starts with Saquon Barkley getting healthy. I mean, the fact that he is 2% higher than the league average in man is incredibly encouraging for a rookie quarterback, and his numbers are strong. I think he has an 88 overall QB rating for a rookie quarterback. It's very good. There are certainly a lot of positives to this season, but what this video is about is the things that he has struggled with and what he needs to do to improve them. A lot of that will be on Jones in, studying game film and getting better year 1 over year 2, and I'm sure Jones is more than capable of doing it. It's just a matter of improving. The pocket presence is worrisome. That's something that some of that is instincts, right? Maybe he doesn't have it. He's got to get a lot better than that. When he knows the blitz is coming, he's got to feel it, and he's got to tuck the ball in because some of the fumbles are unacceptable. And hopefully it gets better in year 2, and I think it could. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.